Hi everybody, and I'm Jake, and this is 2DS from DS. I survived Atmosphere 2018 this week. Oh, what a week. And I have to give a big props to Aruba Networks and HPE for taking exceptionally good care of me. Literally anybody we wanted to talk to, anyone we wanted more info from, they arranged for us to get it. So from that point of view, kudos to them. It was one of the better experiences I've had at one of these types of events. So that was pretty awesome. But I did want to kind of post a little bit. I blogged earlier about my expectations, and I kind of want to talk about what was real, what wasn't, and what I thought about some of the announcements. So, given the opportunity, make it relatively quick from since I just got home 2 days ago. But I think the big announcement was Aruba Networks acquiring Cape Networks for their monitoring platform, which is basically a sensor-based overlay network that does both wireless and application level testing. I like the Cape product. I blogged about it before. I think that's an interesting play. I was a little surprised because I thought that was supposed to be like the platform for Clarity and Clarity Synthetic. So it's kind of interesting to see them buy somebody else that does that. So I'm not sure what I think about that yet. I think there may be some ulterior motives to the Cape acquisition, but I guess time will tell. I think maybe it was for other reasons. I was a little disappointed there wasn't more hardware type announcements. We saw virtually nothing on switching, which I kind of expected. I mean, I think that platform is we've had a lot of new stuff in that platform in the last couple of years, so I don't think it's quite time for yet another new switch. So I was not disappointed in that. The other piece was, lots of stuff around Net Insight and Introspect, which are the Rasa and Nyara acquisitions from last year. Really wasn't much of a shock to see that, they were integrating those. I thought their kind of talk about moving everything to the Aruba Cloud platform was interesting. And I actually really enjoyed those conversations because Central's in the cloud, and I think it's Net Insight is in the cloud, and I can't remember if Introspect is in the cloud as well. But bringing some more of the traditional aspects like ClearPass and other platforms into that cloud platform as well. As well as porting the Cape stuff into the Aruba Cloud platform. So I think that's really cool. Radius in the cloud is something I've often kind of been like, I think it would be a good fit, and there's a lot of challenges to make that work. Because typically our AD is on premises, and putting Radius in the cloud, you have to be able to deal with getting back to your authentication, source. So, but I think that's a good play. I imagine they're gonna go after solving a bunch of those problems as they take it out there. The other piece is we've got these platforms where we're doing Radius, like controllers, and Aruba's controller platform is a very multi-dimensional product, right? I mean, I always looked at a lot of competitors' controllers, and it's layer 2 bridging of wired to wire, of wireless to wired, and they really didn't do much beyond that. Sure, there were tunnels, but tunnels were the glue that made that function out, that split MAC architecture work. Aruba really built a network appliance, and so I think that's going to be really big for them because they can build IPsec tunnels out to a radius server in the cloud, terminate those, and have access, even though that radius server isn't here. And maybe there's a reverse proxy for the clear paths to get through to your AD environment back through the controller. I think that could be an interesting approach. Regardless, there was more stuff around OS 8. It was kind of the focus of a lot of the bigger discussions. Everything they did was with APIs, and that's all part of the OS 8 platform. And then they did talk about, I did predict, maybe we'd hear something about SD-WAN. It didn't really, it was coming soon. But I'll take it as a hint that their SD-WAN platform and the demo in the innovation area was a 7000 series controller. And so I take that to think that they may have bigger plans for Aruba OS 8, simply because I think those cloud services routers, the 7000 series, are going to get some opportunity as a SD-WAN play as well. So here we got this platform with firewall feature sets and APs, and it's very API driven and adaptable, and there's the capability of managing it from something like a mobility master. I could see that, and it's capable of building tunnels, and I think that all comes together as something that could be something really cool for an SD-WAN play. It also solves another issue that we have in branch. And branch is, I think branch is the real opportunity for everybody, because branch offices are continuing to happen. It's not something that's going away, and it's something that we've struggled with. Controllers, putting controllers in the branch. Why? Because it's an added cost. It's like, oh well, that's why things like bridge switching or cloud management has been really big, because I don't want to put a controller in the branch, but I still need to be able to deal with the WAN at the branch. And I think the history of being able to take a cloud services controller and put it in a branch and have a VPN stuff back to, like, say, a Palo Alto has always been really interesting, and a way that you can sell controllers into the branch and have them provide some value. And if that migrates down towards like an SD-WAN play, I think that I think that's actually a brilliant strategy for Aruba, because we don't want to not have the controller. We want to have the controller in the branch, and we want to have the functions and the feature density that comes with having a controller at a site with APs and stuff. Also, it gives you some options. One of the other thing with branch is guest, because I'm going to bring in internet, and I need to be able to get all of my branch to the internet, and now it means I got routers and firewalls and those types of plays, and it's always where I'm going to tunnel it back someplace. It's always such a pain in the ass, and pain in the butt. But for me, it comes down to putting a Aruba controller at each branch could be the solution to a lot of that. Hey, I've got my SD-WAN play, I've already got the ability to do IPsec tunnels, and I have a management platform in both, the mobility master and and Airwave, I guess, if you want to go down that path. But having that, having a lot of the pieces together to make something like that come together, I think is pretty interesting. Especially for something they spent almost no time talking about, simply because they weren't ready to talk about it. The other piece I really thought was exciting at Atmosphere was the deployment team that deploys the conference Wi-Fi and the conference network. That I believe they work for Partha. Man, the balls on those guys. Oh my god. So here's the thing, like a lot of times we are they want to take risks. They want to take risks at their conference to do some things, and I applaud that. Boy, did they take some risks this time. I believe they said it was their first time using 8400s in the core. So new core switching. They also did IPv6 for the first time. They used 335s. They were running beta code, and they were running some alpha, what I would call alpha features against that beta code for some of the tech demos and things live at the conference. So, and on top of all that, Passpoint. They deployed a Passpoint network, and so my AT&T iPhone just hooked up, worked right as soon as I walked in the door. I know there were some challenges with the non-mobile devices, getting them on, but I'll be honest, I went and grabbed the profile with my Mac before I got there, and it just freaking worked. I personally was very, very happy with how the conference network worked. And over the course of the week, they brought in the guys running the conference network to talk to us about some of the things that they did, and man, they did some really cool stuff. And I'll be honest, it was one of the better wireless performing conferences I've been to. So, having IPv6 and the Passpoint, which made the experience seamless, really just, they took a lot of big risks, and they just knocked it out of the park. So kudos to those guys. Talking with them about the things they ran into. Also the agility that they show, when they have a problem. And I know both last year and this year they ran into some code challenges, and within a day, they have identified the problem, the specific lines of code and fixes for it. So I really think that this is a good thing that they do, taking those risks and trying to push the boundaries of what they do. I think that will reflect well in their products in the long term. And I would encourage them to continue taking those risks and go big, because I think you did it this year and it paid off. I know there were some people who had some challenges. I would have loved to see a survey of the facility, because I know there were some times where some people felt it was it was too dense, or it was too there were some 80 meg channels going on. And while I normally kind of disagree with that, I was like, I went and looked, and everywhere I looked outside of the keynote area, even though they were running 80s in some places, I didn't feel like I saw a lot of co-channel. There was a lot of co-channel. I'll say this: there was a lot of co-channel, but a lot of that was the venue. Mandalay Bay had a lot of their house Wi-Fi still running, which meant you had two very dense wireless networks sitting on top of each other. But I don't think, like, within the Aruba system, I think that it did a pretty good job of mitigating that. And like I said, it performed really well for me. So kudos to those guys and all the hard work. But yeah, I think that's it for now. It's not a work day, and you probably can tell by my commute, I'm not heading to the office. I'm going to meet my wife for a date night. But I felt it was important I get something recorded so I can get it out early next week, so that we can keep these videos rolling. I meant to record a lot more and just didn't have the time and atmosphere. I shot some B-roll. Maybe I'll cut some in. There's my wife calling. So thanks everybody, and I will catch you later.